you know what, you are. But this was still a run that very few people saw coming, and he's been around for so long. It's just amazing to see him already having the crowning achievement of his career. But can he make it any better?
Let's see if he can. In the top right-hand side, from Kaizi Gaming, he is on a run of a lifetime. Let's see if he can make it go one more time, one step further. It's Oliveira!
Once more altitude as our first game here in the semi-finals, just like Oliveira had in his quarterfinals run. In the bottom left side, long have we waited for some lasers into the semi-finals of a World Championship, but he's here and he's gonna give it to us. This is Dragon Phoenix Gaming's herO. Wrong team name.
Long team name when you say it out loud, yeah.
I know we can go with the DPG, but...
Yeah, okay, the crowd's getting it into it. herO getting some love, getting some excitement, getting some chants going.
I mean, these guys have also waited for a long time for some lasers, man. Like, imagine you come to Katowice as a Protoss player every single year, and you're like, yeah. All right, well, these Zergs and Terrans also do. Yeah, no. Every year, the dream often ended in the quarterfinal, sometimes even before it, but not this time. herO had to go up against his teammate Dark. Felt like that happened a while ago, but honestly was one of the more one-sided series we've seen today. He just looked better, but that is not going to help him here. PvT is a funny matchup where obviously mind games are going to be very important and momentum is a real thing. If Oliveira is able to go into like one of these cloaked Wither Mines once relatively early, you know, a couple Hellions into some cloaked mine drops, and if herO is not ready for it because he's stuck on Twilight Council tech for a while, that kind of stuff can really get the ball rolling for our Terran player. But I don't know if he's willing to take too many risks in the first game. He might just be like, you know what, I know you're very aggressive. Why don't I just try to defend and see how I do? Let's see if I can stabilize and I can weather the onslaught that I know you're going to bring.
Absolutely. This map, big one as well, especially to get us started here. So that's going to come into play quite heavily. That's just our first Reaper coming across. It is very standard to start off with. No one's going to pull the trigger on any crazies just yet. We're waiting for that first tech choice, of course, from herO, expecting probably a Twilight Council. There it is going down. And the Adept here to fend off the Reaper initially, which of course would still love to jump in and get the confirmation that this is a Twilight. You
know what's funny? Like, I was talking a little bit with Clem about this upcoming series. Obviously, I wanted to hear his thoughts going into such a big semi-final. And he's like, I was like, I kind of believe a little bit for Oliveira, man. He's really on a roll. Momentum is a real thing. And Clem is like, oh, I hope so. But herO's just so good. And he's like, he's amazing in PvT. I was like, what makes him amazing? And he couldn't quite pinpoint it. It's not like one specific thing. It's just that herO is incredibly good at winning games. And it sounds really stupid, but he just finds different ways to win games. I think his crisis management and the ability to analyze every unique scenario that he finds himself in so quickly and then make the correct calls is what makes him such a dangerous player in this matchup.
No, absolutely. He's just able to take situations that you don't see often. And I mean, how often do we see in a herO attack and we're like, well, this is crazy. What's
why are you attacking here? You can't do much. Yeah, never mind, he wins.
Yeah, exactly. And that is like such a defining statement of herO's play.
Yeah.
And that's what makes him great, because if he can do that and others can't, it's hard to play against him because you're playing the unexpected.
And what's cool as well is I think maybe a way to describe herO is fearless, right? He could see something heading towards his main base, but if he believes that he's going to deal more damage on the other side of the map than he will take at home, he will just gladly take that damage. He'll be like, all right, I know it's happening, that is going to hurt, but I'll be even more successful on the other side of the map. And that is not a call a lot of Protoss players make very often, all right? We see something heading our way, we're like, okay, we kind of got to focus on the defense. herO just sees opportunities in offense all the time, and that is what makes him the best Protoss player in the world.
In this case, he sees exactly what's coming his way as he gets in. He sees the second barracks. He saw the stim pack started already, so first Adept gets the information. Oliveira lost his scouting Reaper, so he never got to confirm. He's playing a little bit blind. He can't play with perfect information here, and that means he's going to be maybe not quite as prepped as he'd like to be against this upcoming blink pressure.
You know, I was thinking as well, if Oliveira does get the job done, he gets a TBT in the Grand Finals. And that's the one matchup where he has truly shined this event, even though the performance against Reina was perhaps the most impressive of all of them. And Maru is obviously known as the best TBT player in the world. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because herO wants to give us some more lasers. We've got the gateways, we've got our warp prism. And even though he's warping in a pylon on the other side of the map as well, that could be one of these just-in-case pylons, right? It could be a scout, right? Imagine if Oliveira sends out the Raven now, or a Medevac. There is a chance that it still flies over this pylon. But on top of that, if he does something crazy with the Prism, and God forbid, but he loses the Warp Prism, he could still be aggressive with slower Warpins.
Absolutely. He's taking his extra gases behind this, by the way, as he sets up to follow with even further tech. And obviously a later third base with how much pressure he wants to apply. He has the Observer to help him pick a fight, as well as the Stalkers get ready over to the right, it seems, towards the main base.
Yep, decent amount of surface area to be active, but not as much as in some of the other maps in this map pool. And even though like herO took these gases, that gives us the idea that he just wants to poke, he wants to find a little bit of damage and get further ahead as he's dropping some tech as well. I think this is one of these moments where herO is waiting to see if an opportunity presents itself, right? If he's being dropped, he's like, hey, that means you've invested in this drop, that means less units at home, let's go for it. But if he sees nothing heading his way, he's like, okay, I gotta slow down my roll a little bit, because clearly you have been expecting this, you've been keeping every single unit that you've produced at home. I gotta slow my roll, still find a couple SCVs if I can, but he knows that he cannot possibly win the game here.
No, absolutely. He's just going to be having a few more Stalkers. I love this, right? Just very casually into the natural, get some damage. Now the Prism in the main base, more SCVs that can go down. Oliveira has absolutely nothing here. He's chasing out in the front, and he is going to start chasing these Stalkers down, but boy, does he need to get something done, because the damage in the main base is adding up already.
Yeah, it's so smart of herO to warp in Stalkers off the slope island while still being able to get some value out of his Warp Prism. He has warped in a couple of slow Zealots. Normally not the greatest unit, but hey, it can soak up a couple of these shots of the Marines and the Marauders, and even that tank. 16 SCVs is a tremendous amount of damage in this phase of the game. And at this point, Oliveira knows, man, that all of these units that are right now making their way to the bottom side of the map, they need to get something done. But I don't know how you can get a whole lot done. Maybe he can get a cancel on the third base, right? But I think that's about as good as it's ever going to be. But he's going to stim into the natural with no regard for all these Stalkers and the overcharge. And he gets a lot of Stalkers. But Big Daddy Colossus is here to save the day. But herO's going to have to micro that Colossus.
He is indeed, Ronnie, because there's not a lot left. And now he's going to start taking a lot of probe damage, and Oliveira's got a choice to make.
No.
He splits some units to the Colossus. The Colossus goes down. Oliveira on the counterattack, and he's up into herO's main base. And we have got a bit of an upset to start this series. herO is looking like he's about to admit defeat, Ronnie. He's got nothing left.
Everything got unpowered, and Time with these fist bumps that we've seen throughout the entire event takes the 1-0 lead in this semi-finals. In a game that didn't really look all that hot for him because he was taking too much damage off that Warp Prism, and that's normally where things just don't end well for the Terran player. He stimped and he said, no, I don't want to get a cancel on the third base. I feel I can fight this army of Stalkers and Sentries only. That was obviously correct, but normally the Colossus is there or an overcharge is there to save the day. Time was incredibly decisive, but herO absolutely messed up a little bit with the Colossus micro. It was being targeted and he moved it forward into the Terran army. Maybe that's because he had no extended thermal lens and he wanted to right-click on Marines specifically, where he's like, I don't want my Colossus to shoot at Marauders. I wanted to shoot at Marines, but a Colossus without a battery or any protection is going to fall rather quickly.
What I'm amazed about is the fact that this wasn't like overly greedy at home from herO either, right? He was teching up off of 2 bases initially. He didn't like rush a third base during all of this and skip and delay the tech. And it just wasn't all there ready to go.
He should have not died there, he knows it, and I think that's why you could see the facial expressions as well, where he's like, that was not supposed to happen, because you're right? If he's playing a low gas style, but he's exploding up to 4 bases, double forge, and then this kind of stuff happens where you're like, okay, I underestimated the firepower of that army, but it felt that he just never expected Time to actually stim all the way up that ramp. He thought, Time is going to chase my army, he's going to try to get a couple of units, but the moment he has to go up the ramp into a Guardian Shield or Force Field or a Battery Overcharge, he's going to disengage. I'm quite certain that that is what he expected. But Oliveira said, nope, I've taken enough damage at home. I feel like this is my best opportunity. And he went for it. And herO is clutch and decisive, but so has Oliveira been throughout this tournament.
Decisive was exactly the word I wanted to use, because he didn't turn around to defend as well, right? He was committed to going across the other side. And now he's rewarded with a 1-0 lead, looking to try and get to the grand final from Kaisi Gaming. Make some noise for Oliveira!
The run of a lifetime. Man, I'm getting goosebumps for this guy. This is just amazing. It really feels like you're watching somebody's dreams come true. And he's not there yet, of course, but he is just playing an absolutely fantastic tournament. So is this man. And I think one map loss does not mean that he's out of this at all. In the bottom right side of Dragon Skills, it felt that everything went right for him until it didn't. Can he turn things around? This is our Korean Brodals herO.
what a map to just go across the map on as well. Altitude, like, it does not, you don't just get across there real quickly, right? You know, maybe if it was Dragon Skills, you can walk across, I'm like, okay, sure, but altitude?
And like, if that was ever going to work, I feel like most of the time it works because the Protoss makes an obvious mistake. They're not paying attention to the Stalkers on the left side. Like, they blink them away and then they stop running because they think the Terran army turned around. And then suddenly the Terran army stims on top of it. They get a few more Stalkers than they're supposed to. Then you can see it working. But I don't even think that herO in his retreat really messed up. The only point where he started to mess up was in the natural, but just all kudos to Tyman for being as decisive as he was. I believe that the Terran players like to say, he stimmed to win, and he never looked back.
He did stim to win, didn't he? As this probe wants to just be as much of an annoyance as possible, perhaps try and delay the command center by a few moments. It is Marine first, which is something the probe would love to pick up on while keeping itself alive. Obviously, try and figure out that timing in the next few moments, as this is now officially a delayed natural.
Yep. herO will obviously know that he's going to have to clean things up a little bit. A lot of things were going well. We could see some of that trademark great aggressive herO play where even against a Terran that didn't invest in a medevac drop or Raven harass or Liberator harass, he found damage. Like, that's kind of crazy. The moment that Oliveira felt it was the right moment to move out, he was able to find some damage and things were looking quite good for herO. We know that he is no stranger to the Stargate, and he's definitely willing to play a little bit of Phoenix Colossus once in a blue moon. And there is our first Stargate. Could also be, of course, an Oracle into Twilight play. That's also something that herO likes, but wouldn't be too surprised to see a little Phoenix Colossus coming out of herO in this series.
Very safe, very defensive, maybe see a bit of a longer game here, right? Get actually up into those tech units and then be able to put those into play and try and find those, you know, aggressive offensive attacks that you are so well known for. So, yeah, I'm with you. I feel like Phoenix is a very valid option here, and specifically, like you say, Phoenix into Colossi.
I like that probe being on patrol on the left side, and that probe actually gives me the idea that it's probably Phoenix, but we're about to find out. Is it Phoenix? Is it Oracle? Both are obviously perfectly fine choices. But if he would go for Phoenix, it makes sense. The rally point is suggesting Oracle, though. So he is going to open things up with an Oracle. And now that probe is actually going to build a pylon already. herO will come up with waves of aggression that don't make sense. But if he's doing it, everything seems to make sense when he plays Protoss. Yeah, just going Oracle into basic gateway units, so units that do not benefit from charge of a Twilight Council or a blink of the Twilight Council. That's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But it is going to be like basically a 3-gate Oracle opener with a slightly later Twilight.
Just very, very interesting, right? I mean, it just sort of maybe the thing that herO does sometimes that no one else really does. It's that little bit random and you don't quite know exactly what you're up against. He takes another gateway Roddy, so we're really adding this up.
Then it should be 4-gate Blink Stalker, right? That's the only thing that really makes sense. So he's going to make it seem, okay, this Oracle, by the way, is flying into the main base. I have the feeling that the Cyclone is not even moving yet. I think for a split second, maybe Oliveira thought it was fake or something.
Oh, he's going to...
No, the lock-on gets broken, but that was awfully close. herO knows that he dodges a little bullet there. But this is annoying for herO because this Oracle is important for various reasons. Not just the ability to activate Pulsar Beam and pick off SCVs or help out in the fight. But that Oracle needs to make its way to this latch that our observer is showing because herO wants to blink into the main base. And if you don't have that Oracle there, you've got no high ground vision. So taking that much damage on the Oracle is already a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be extremely difficult to maintain this attack, basically. And that's going to put herO in, like you say, an odd spot, a tougher spot than he would like to be in. And all because that Cyclone really stretched to stay stuck onto it as long as possible. Starport about to finish up here as well. We'll have that to add some further tech into play. And we do have our first medevac coming out. The stim's about to be done, man. I'm not sure we can do anything with Blink.
Yeah, no, I like the builds that Oliveira has gone for, because it's a lot of units. I have the feeling when herO shines the most in this matchup, it's against the Terrans. It's like, oh, Reaper, Hellion, a little Widowmine drop, but then 8 Stalkers blink into the main base and you've got nothing. But I think with the openings that Oliveira has gone for so far, he just very quickly has a lot of firepower. Now, I don't think he should be moving out, but obviously he found a lot of success with it in the previous game. I think that herO's probably a little bit surprised by this as well. Blink is not quite done yet. I wouldn't hate a second pylon in the front herO. I think that's kind of mandatory because you don't want to see the shield bearer be unpowered. The Stalk is still being walked in on the other side of the map. Oracle's going to town on the SCVs. Wadi, all hell is breaking loose here in the semifinals. Can herO defend the army this time around?
Let's find out. I'm a little bit worried if these tanks get set up, man, onto the natural. It feels like then we're going to have a tough time as herO, but he's doing a good job of buying time. The Stalkers have forced an early warp, and he's got the other Stalkers ready to flank as well. And of course, now Oliveira has no retreat possible. So here we go. These Stalkers are just going to get one more Marine for a moment, but Yeah, I feel as though we're cutting off reinforcements, and with that, Oliveira's not gone soon enough.
How can Oliveira ever get home, man? There are stalkers everywhere. He is going to try. herO will not let these tanks go home easily as he blinks forward, tries to get the medevac. Marine stim one more time. Where are the other stalkers? herO, there they are. They blink from the bottom of our screen on top of this army, and herO will clean this up in the end. But economically, this is still not all that bad. The biggest problem is right now there are 15 stalkers against 6 Marines. Oliveira truly needed these tanks at home to stabilize, and we know that herO will never give you time to stabilize if you need it the most.
In we go with the blink, and this one should be just a contract that's already signed. GG's, herO is going to tie it 1-1, and these quick aggressive games go either way in the first two.
Yeah, I have to question Oliveira's decision to move out there in the first place. Like, you have to know who you're dealing with, right? If you're going up against, let's say, Stats in his prime, you know that he's going to just crank out as many probes as possible. He's going to go up to 3 bases. He might poke you a little bit to slow you down, but that's when you know you can punish a greedy Protoss. But herO is the guy that's going to attack you. So if you, instead of just focus on defending with a bunker and the immediate reinforcements and the SCVs around, just sit back, you're going to have an advantage. But the moment you're attacking into the dude that's going to attack you, he will pretty much be ready because he's already making a lot of units because it's herO.
Yeah, no, I'm 100% with you. It's just not quite logical, right? And I think you've got to think as well, what is he doing? I've seen one Oracle and nothing else. No second Oracle or anything. So he's going into something, and yeah, he just got overwhelmed too quickly. I mean, if he could have maybe got across slightly faster, but herO was just so well set up. He did everything he had to buy time and shut it down.
Maybe Oliveira was hoping that be Oracle into like a couple of Phoenixes hiding at home or something, right? Because if it would be Oracle into Phoenix Colossus, then yeah, the 2 tanks and a bunch of Marines could actually be very frustrating for herO to deal with. But we know that herO loves his blink play. We know how aggressive he loves to be. Like, how often do we sit here and cast a herO PvT where he goes up to 3 bases and 60+ probes before he starts making battle units? Like, that's just not who he is.
You need the information when you play against herO. If you're going to make moves like that, you've got to have the reasoning behind it. It just wasn't there this time, and we end up tied up in this semi-final. Oliveira and herO, so far so good, with a lot of fun in the first 2 games.
One absolutely amazing move by herO. Even when he saw the move out coming, he still warped in 4 stalkers on the other side of the map, and these stalkers were cash money, right? They sniped the medevac, they sniped a couple of Marines, and they also made it impossible for the Terran to retreat because he was surrounded by stalkers.
He really was. The crowd wants us to get going, Roddy. Usually it's the Observer that's spinning around to get us going. In the bottom left from Kaisi Gaming, give it up for Oliveira.
In the top right side, we are looking at the main base of our Protoss player, tying things up after making a lot of stalkers in the previous game. This is our Korean Protoss spawning in the blue, herO. herO looks very cool, by the way, in his Dragon Phoenix gaming jacket.
He really suits me. Like, he wears it with style.
Yeah, I just want to get it off my chest, man. He looks super cool. Does look like a champion, but...
Very, very cool. Well, how about this with some cool fast-second gateway across the map? Or do you think maybe something else?
No, I think you're spot on there, because we already have a pylon and a gate at home. herO perhaps taking a little note out of the MaxPax playbook, even though that's obviously the original MaxPax build is very different, right? That was the pylon into another pylon into a gateway. But this is something that we have seen Protoss players use occasionally, especially if they feel that they go up against Terran players that play rather blind. But make no mistake, this kind of stuff is a pretty big investment. But while I'm saying that, I've also been absolutely stunned by the ability of world-class Protoss players to spend all these resources on this kind of stuff and then still sometimes turn it into a relatively normal game where it's like, no, now I can expand, now I can drop my tech. I always feel like if you open up like this, like, you're all in. This, by the way, is best case scenario for herO. This is absolutely what he's hoping for. Reaper into CC on the low ground. Things could not play out better here in the early game for herO.
Yep, this is going to be very difficult for Oliveira to turn around, and obviously, especially without taking any amount of damage. CC is going to get delayed from building for a long time. There is a Marine at least coming after that Reaper. Yeah,
and Oliveira is a world-class Terran player, as we've seen throughout this entire tournament. He has to know that the timing of that Nexus is not totally correct, right? There's not enough HP on that Nexus, so he immediately knows something is up. He's going to send this Reaper to the left side. He sees the pylon, sees the gateway, but how do you keep the CC alive? He's going to try to pull a lot of SCVs immediately. I love this, man, because it's better to overreact than to underreact, but this can also fall completely flat on its face. Maybe it would have been sick to hide the SCVs actually. Imagine if you could surround the Adept, but getting the bunker up is definitely the first way to stabilize.
Yep, if the bunker gets up, then this becomes a lot easier. And of course, during this, the big thing is you are keeping that CC building. These SCVs not mining is 100% made up for the fact that this command center gets to finish easily.
Wow, this was great, man. I love how serious Oliveira took this. He obviously got the scout off. herO needs to get something done. He definitely want to raise the depots. Can't even find the one SCV that was still building the orbiter. He's like, wait a minute, I'm supposed to get at least one SCV for my trouble. I gotta say, this is picture perfect defense by a Chinese Terran so far.
Yeah, no, absolutely. There's no damage being taken at all. These Adepts just kind of get stuck here while hitting the depot. So the Reaper will pop out and keep on pinging that one down. Just make sure shields don't regen so you can potentially get a kill on this. And yeah, just some cool micro between the two is obviously this is the highest level of play in the world, Roddy.
Yep, Reaper is going to get one more shot off, gets the Adept, and it does not die. We're going to relocate the command center real quick. herO's like, hey, can I block it? Nope, too late, Adept's too slow. Twilight Council has already been built on the other side of the map, and I do believe that Reaper finally went down. And at this point, herO just has one mission, and that is just make sure that this goes on for as long as possible. Try to pick off any SCVs that get built on the low ground, like that one. And yeah, just try to buy some time for his Twilight Council to kick in as he fires up Blink on the other side of the map.
And he's got a little way to go until Blink, as the Cyclone out obviously really does put an end to this Adept harassment. In the end, there was 5 Adepts built, I guess. He's lost 2 already, so quite the investment from herO in terms of units. His Adepts will not commit here. Obviously, that's just a death sentence with so many units at this point. Any potential for Oliveira to get going before Blink's done, do we think, or are we just sitting back?
Since he's once more investing in very quick stim, I almost would say that that's not necessary, but perhaps, I mean, economically it's not looking all that bad. herO does go up to 3 bases, by the way, 4 minutes and 20 seconds, and now I just want to mention that eventually that Reaper did go down, right? That Reaper got a little bit too greedy one time leaving the bunker, the Adept one-shotted it. Now it would be so sweet for Oliveira if that Reaper was still alive, because you could bring it back into the main base, hop it to the low ground, and then send it to the other side of the map, because this is the kind of information that's really hard to get as a Terran player. But Reapers are great scouting units, so losing that one after he already picked up the first Adept is actually very unfortunate. I have one question for you, by the way, Waddy. Why do you think herO did not open up with the Zealot? Because I feel most of the time when we see guys at this level go for the proxy second gateway and the pilot on the other side of the map, they always open up with the Zealot from home that they rally to the other side of the map.
He did start the Zealot, right, as well. I'm sure I saw it in production, and then, you're right, I never showed up. Yeah, I don't really know. Maybe just something with being able to get the Nexus down faster if you skip the Zealot, and yeah, that's pretty much my only assumption, and then you just don't feel like the Zealot was going to do enough.
Because normally the Zealot is there to buy some time, right? Because it can go for the SCV. Will it get any kills? No, but it can stop the SCV from building the bunker. It can stop the SCV from building the command center. And while you get those couple of very precious seconds, that's when the Adept shows up, and that's when the Adept starts killing stuff. But without the Zealot, it obviously became a little bit easier for Oliveira to get all of these buildings finished.
Maybe just the timing to get across the map on this one. It's a great question, actually, because it is very odd compared to what we usually see. As we do have our Stalkers obviously getting ready to be aggressive, talking about herO, and it's obviously very normal for him as those Adepts got through, and obviously high ground vision is a big thing here for those Stalkers.
Yep, herO does have a robotics facility as well, as he's got a Warp Prism, and he's got an Observer in the main base as well, I believe. And his graphics Observer just got picked off, by the way, so now these Adepts, if they could shade into the main base one more time, would indeed be absolutely fantastic. herO really switching up, by the way, obviously going up to 3 bases quickly, exploding with gateways on the other side of the map. Charge is already on the way this time around, but once more, I don't hate where this game is going for Oliveira at all. But obviously, he's going to have to win a fight eventually. And I do think it's possible to win a fight once the medevacs are out, +1 weapons kicks in for the bio units. But he's going to need a slightly bigger army if he wants to run to the other side of the map, because Zealots are incredibly good against small Terran armies, but they really fall off the bigger the bio ball gets.
He's out of position right now, going for that gateway, so herO will know that he might be able to strike if this is something he's wanting to do. The Adepts will commit into the natural for the first time, looking for some kills. Haven't really found any yet, just now getting to 2 SCVs. Can we make it a third? Yes, we can. The Stalkers decide not to commit. They are just going to stand steady out in front of the base.
Very big scout here. One brave little Marine from time on the other side of the map saw the 3rd base, and on top of that, it sees no gases in the natural. So time at this point knows, like, wait a minute, you've got no upgrades. Doesn't seem like you are going tech heavy, and I don't have to worry about any Colossus. I have to worry about a lot of Protoss units as the Cyclone gets the lock-on the Warp Prism. That would be massive for Oliveira, and he gets the Prism without really taking a whole lot of damage.
The Stalkers try to go at the front, but the tanks defended as well, so that's not going to get anywhere. 4 SCVs, but this entire attacking herO is more or less shut down already. This is not what he's looking for, man, and he is going to get out of grid and all sorts here.
And this is where the army supply starts looking like maybe it's time for the Terran to start getting adventurous, right? Because herO clearly wanted to get pretty far ahead with a lot of Stalkers and Zealots, and then he transitions. But the attack got stopped before it ever truly got going, and now herO's going to have to deal with a pretty big Terran army. We're looking close at 80 army supply with pure Zealots and Stalkers that are 0-0. Even if your name is herO, this is going to be a very difficult defense.
It absolutely is. We've got like a lone immortal, a sentry to try and give us some hope, but it is going to be tough. These dogs will do everything they can. A couple of Zealots are going to go either flank or counter-attack.
Yeah. That's smart that herO's already thinking about this stuff. Oliveira is also thinking about it, so he wants more sent an individual Marine forward. herO remade another Prism. I think at this point it's not so much about Prisms, more about battle units. A Templar Archives is done, one Archon is on the way, but one Archon not necessarily fantastic. herO will go for it, immediately activates Guardian Shield. He thinks he's got enough Zealots, body.
He does indeed. This bio runs through the tanks, using them as a choke point. The blast tank going through, and it is going to fall down now. The Stalkers took a lot of damage from those tanks, with all the Zealots gone. The bio looking kind of scary still. The upgrades are obviously massive for Oliveira in these fights. Being just up +1 even is big for him.
Saving that Marauder there is big as well, right? Now the Medivacs can do that thing, and herO really needs to have something going his way. Oliveira, despite the fact that he's got 3 bases, right? I'm not kidding. Am I crazy? He's got triple orbital. Can we go ahead and confirm this real quick? 3 orbitals. He's still going to pull the SCVs because he knows that SCVs are fantastic against Zealot. They can create the force field that Terran players dream of. And he wants to hit before Storm, and I think he's doing it, man. What a read by Oliveira.
Oh, what a read. Liberators are sieging up. The probes pull in as we have a worker fight on the front lines, but Oliveira cleaves through that one. And he's going to stop Storm! No splash damage apart from a single Archon. And it's going to be kind of sad here as it runs to the left side. We can start another as well. The Liberators are already setting up for that part. The gateways are being unpowered, and Oliveira with 1-1 is looking great here, Roddy.
Oliveira with a soul read on this game. He knew that this was the moment to pull the boys. Now the bio army is a little bit overstimmed, and there are a couple of Immortals on the left, but Liberators are making sure that there is Terran justice in this part of the semi-finals as well. herO has lost 41 probes, lost the army on the left side. That Nexus has like 10 HP. There is pulling the boys, and there is pulling the boys at the greatest moment to ever do it. And this was the moment for Oliveira.
What a call, Roddy. I mean, like you say, he set up for the macro game, and he just realizes, I've got a killing move right here. He does not hesitate, and it was perfect because he stops that Storm. The one thing that could have stopped him, the Nexus falls, the Stalkers are going down, and I think we're saying goodbye to herO for game number 3, as Oliveira is going to have a lead once again in the semi-final. Another cancel on units, and this is it. GG. Wow. Oliveira is a match away from the grand finals.
What a call and what a read by this man. Did he have to pull the SCVs? Was he in a bad spot? No, he could have played a normal game. But after that initial skirmish where he picked up all the Zealots, was able to save the majority of his bio army, he's like, wait a moment, this is pure gateway units against bio units. This is where SCVs are better than in any other scenario. And despite the fact that he's got triple orbital, he grabs the boys, makes the Terran force field, gets on top of the Templar Archives as well. And obviously some people will be wondering, why on earth did herO drop his Templar Archives at the 3rd base? Well guys, sometimes as a Protoss, you just do stuff. You just click buttons. There really isn't a great reason to ever do it. It's supposed to be in a safer spot, but herO probably thought this game is gonna go on for a while, and this is not all that important. I don't know if Storm finishing up would have made a difference, because I don't think we had any High Templars ready to Storm, but he did have an Archon later on, and 1 or 2 Storms, if you saw how low on HP that Terran army was, maybe it could have made the difference. We'll never know, I guess, unless we resume it from replay or something, but what a call from Oliveira, man. Oh my goodness, I'm getting goosebumps. What is this run that this man is on?
Actually just world-class level decision making, right? Just, I mean, you had the World Championships. You gotta play like this if you're gonna win it, if you're gonna keep going on. Oliveira needs 1 more map here against herO to make that grand final. herO wants to bring it back, but he's constantly playing from behind in this series. We'll see if he can get it done as we go on to what has been the best map of the tournament in terms of game quality. Grezvan is up next.
I was like, wait a minute, we already played Altitude. Well, you've been loving this map, eh? I heard you talk about it in the green room as well. You said that this map has just delivered non-stop.
Yeah, it really has. And for me, it was special because like I doubted this map of it coming in. Yeah. It's been really good. So here we are, up 2-1. How Red Terran play from Kaiser Game. He's a map away from getting it done. It's Oliveira.
In the bottom right side, the man who has won multiple IEM championships in the early days of StarCraft 2. Those were not held in Katowice, but he knows what it feels like to make it to a final of IEM tournament. He needs to win 2 games in a row to get there again. This is herO. I gotta say, the defense of Oliveira as well against that first Stalker Zealot poke, right? How many times haven't we seen herO just straight up kill a Terran player? Where he's like, relatively easy game. Haha, it's not, because I'm herO and I will find a way to pick the Terran apart. But the Cyclone micro around the Zealots that got hopped or that got unloaded from the Warp Prism, the immediate scan, so we didn't have that moment like, oh, is he going to get the Warp Prism? No, he was always gonna get the Warp Prism. Oliveira is just so clutch this tournament. We've seen it in TVT, then he blew us away with the performance against Rainer, and now he's doing it again in the semifinals, taking the 2-1 lead. Just one more win for Oliveira. I'm sure that you've had the question as well before the tournament, Wadi, where people are like, which is the dark horse, you know? Who do you think is going to go very far that you don't necessarily think people are going to go very far? And I'm not going to say that nobody said Oliveira or Time, because there's always someone out there that's like, I actually really believe in Oliveira, but this is the dark horse of StarCraft 2 history almost, man. On this stage, such a run, absolutely wild.
That says you.
What did it say?
I am Rotterdam's #1 fan. He was giving a good.
I'm his fan as well. You know, that man is from Birmingham.
I know very well who he is. Don't worry.
They call him the Birmingham Banger. Don't ask me why.
Reaper gets the probe here, is going to be able to knock that one out, and that's obviously just less information for herO, and obviously nice for, you know, Oliveira to know it's not on the map proxying something for the moment.
All right. I'm off track now. Let's go ahead and get back into this hype PvP. Man, these games, these storylines, this tournament, Wadi, like, obviously we always have high hopes when we go into the final day of a StarCraft 2 World Championship, but I feel like you could have asked so many StarCraft 2 fans to predict this bracket, and I highly doubt that anybody would have guessed it correctly.
No, there's no way, right? There's just been too many twists, too many turns. Oliveira coming in here and just going to sit behind the mineral line. And obviously, if the Adept comes here to chase it off, he can jump in the main, perhaps. So, giving himself options early on.
Yep, we have that second barracks on the way. Oh, move the Reaper! No, you cannot lose a Reaper this early, but will barely escape. The Adept just needed one more hit. If an Adept is able to fire twice at the Reaper, that's kind of when you know as a Protoss that you have it. If the Shade is available, because the Shade will obviously be able to catch up with the Reaper. And in the end, Oliveira dodges a bullet there. It's Phoenix, by the way, straight up Phoenix. We were talking a little bit about the Phoenix in Dragon skills. And this is the first time that herO will play Phoenix. I gotta say, there's an odd battery in the main base, right? I don't know if we addressed it or you've addressed it.
No.
Never really seen that battery. I don't think it really interferes a whole lot with the mining, but this is one of these batteries, though, that if there's ever a Widowmine drop in this game, which I know is hard against Phoenix, but if there would be, you better pull your probes, otherwise you lose the absolute maximum amount. Because of the battery, the probes actually clump up a lot more than they otherwise would.
Do you like the Phoenix, considering Oliveira's consistently going for fast second racks and stem?
I guess if you just want to play Phoenix Colossus on 2 base, it's always kind of safe, right? Isn't that like, you know, it can be hard against certain tank pushes, but I'm with you. Like, technically, the way that herO has been playing with Blink Stalkers, and that's the unit that he loves the most, that is not bad against the stuff that Oliveira is doing. Like, Blink Stalkers are probably indeed, in theory, on paper, better than the Phoenix build here, but maybe herO just feels like he needs something else because he's not feeling it, and he feels like he's not making the correct calls in the heat of the moment like he normally does. So, yeah, maybe just to flip the script here and change the tempo a little bit. But I absolutely understand what you're saying, because technically, if you would ever tell Protoss, like, hey, this is the build that the Terran is doing, there are very few Protoss players out there that be like, you know what, Phoenix, that's what I want as my opening.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting one. There is that Robo base, so we're going to really try and get to the proper Phoenix Colossus stage of this time. We've been denied there in previous maps. There's obviously herO getting his numbers up. Obviously, we'll need a battery on this natural, and just needs to make sure he doesn't skip gateway units if there is going to be a push coming his way.
I find the third base now pretty ambitious, by the way, man. Because there is indeed no battery in the natural. It's not that Oliveira pushes with Marines only. You know, everybody's familiar with what we call a 2-1-1, where it's 60 Marines and Stims, or a straight-up 3 racks. No, he's been pushing out with tanks, right? I think we have Cyclone into tank. Do we have tanks this time around?
No.
Okay, well, then it actually works out in a 300 IQ manner for herO. Because that is the one unit that Oliveira absolutely needs here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we'll see what he does. First two medevacs coming up, and obviously we're lining up that +1 on combat shield very shortly as well, so Oliveira will be looking for something at least when those upgrades are finished. There's no way he's going to sit back forever. herO, everything on the way for him. Third base, Colossus +1. It's just a matter of can he truly get there safely? We'll see.
Right, that's where you know a Terran player is dialed in and in the zone. When an observer is in range, they throw down the scan immediately. Phoenixes do show up. They're going to lift a couple of SCVs. 4 SCVs is decent. Very important for herO that the Phoenix survives, as Phoenix are very expensive units. And Oliveira, after picking up the observer and knowing where the Phoenixes are, picks up 60 Marines immediately. He's going to try to unload them in the main base, but herO has a spotting unit at the bottom side of the map. I don't know what that is, but this adapt could very well be the MVP if this adapt can spot the double drop. Because if all these Marines unload in the main base, herO is in all sorts of trouble, Waddy. This adapt needs to see these medevacs, and I think he moved it a little bit.
Yeah, he moved it north, man. It's currently not in path to see these medevacs at all, but maybe the Phoenix realized that perhaps there wasn't enough units around. They are starting to head back down to the bottom side, so maybe the Phoenix can help, as the Adept is going to see this. The medevacs aren't hugging the bottom of the map, so there should be at least a chance to deny this a little bit. The boost comes in from Oliveira. He's heading for the main, but so is herO.
Immediate recall, MVP, but we need a little more, because if all the units unload, 4 Phoenixes cannot fight this herO, as he loses one of the Phoenix immediately. That Stalker was swapped in on the wrong side, and the guys are stimming for it. They're going to try to get on top of this overcharged battery immediately. That's a lot of pros falling. Where is the Colossus when you need it the most?
It's showing up way too late, Roddy. 12 workers already down. We killed a few Phoenix, we killed some Stalkers. The Colossus is off and away because there's an attack on the right side. herO's third base is under fire, and Oliveira's all over him. A Colossus and a Adept, what are you going to do? You can't save this base, and Widowmines are going to blow stuff up as well, and Oliveira's on fire, Roddy.
StarCraft 2 history, our Terran player from China seems to be doing it. We've already called him the best player from China ever to be produced, but this right here is an unprecedented run. He's all over herO. He's found a crazy amount of damage. He's not there yet, but I'm with you. That went even better than I think Oliveira could have dreamed it would go for us. He gets another lock on, throws down the scan as well. herO needs to take a little moment for himself. He's running around the map right now in the center. Why are we here? Do we need to be here? No. He's trying to punish, I guess, a little minor overextension, but herO, this is not the kind of army where you normally end games with, mate. You don't have any Phoenixes anymore. herO feels that he has taken too much damage and he wants to end it, but how does he ever end it with this army?
I don't think he does, Roddy. Not with Oliveira pulling back. He realizes, man, hey, you're coming at me. You haven't rebuilt your base. Widowmines are just killing units as they come. Oliveira's going to get ready to defend this natural and potentially advance to the grand finals. SCV's pre-pull. What do you do as herO?
Well, he's gonna try. He's gonna try to bust down this bunker and micro the hell out of that one Immortal, one Colossus. He queues up a Disrupt, and now it feels a little bit disoriented. It's all over the place. We're warping in slow Zealots, but Oliveira's army is big. It's powerful. herO needs the best Whoppers and micro of all time and a couple of great force bills, but not even that is going to save him.
The Prism goes down. There's no more reinforcements. The Vikings are going to go for the Colossus. Oliveira's going to take down the army. herO doesn't have anything left. His army's gone. Oliveira wipes him out. One more Colossus to chase, and Oliveira is booking himself a ticket to the grand finals.
It's StarCraft 2 history for Oliveira. It's StarCraft 2 history for the Chinese scene. I cannot believe it, but Oliveira is doing it. He is going to give us the TVT grand finals at the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice. We saw his TVT was great in the beginning of this tournament. He blew us away with the TVZ skills, but against Protoss Waddy, this man also knows what he's doing, as he's going to split one more time. But history is in the making. It's Oliveira's time.
Super Battery keeps the Disruptor alive. herO is going to hang on to any hope he possibly can, but the supplies just are not there for him. He's got one Disruptor that's on cooldown. Super Battery's about to fade. Here comes a Colossus to try and be the hero of the day, but herO needs more than a hero for himself right now. There's just no way. Surely we dive on in. The Colossus is going to go down, but the Disruptor doesn't get it because Oliveira's still watching. He is going to lift up. herO keeps on warping in, but there's just not enough. Even if you push this back, you're down 40 army supply.
Get ready for one of the most emotional pop-offs you've ever seen of a StarCraft 2 player, because Oliveira's been feeling it throughout this tournament, but this is so big for this man. I cannot believe what we just saw, but Oliveira makes it into the grand finals of the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice 2023. Amazing.
Absolutely incredible. You cannot believe it. It felt desperate.